Things are getting worse around here, aren't they? Too many things are changing here. Everybody just talks about how afraid they are of dying. Well, I don't think that's the worst thing that can happen to you here.
You can't save them all.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to Horror with Nadia Presents From. Thank you so much for being here on this beautiful Friday night. Hope everybody had a great Halloween. Before I bring the panel out today, I just want to remind you, everybody hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I am trying to get 100 more subs by the end of this month, so that is the goal. So help me with that goal by, again, hitting that like, subscribe, and share the stream, especially to anyone else who is watching from. With all that housekeeping out of the way, I'm going to bring everybody on. So let's see, Julie, Nick, Zax, and I just realized hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Friday.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Happy Friday.
I'm wearing pants.
Everybody, that's a change.
I took mine off.
Curious, yeah.
Zach, yeah.
Close call.
Yeah.
I looked down. I was like, am I?
Question myself.
Before we begin, I just want to let the chat know there is a poll happening on the YouTube side. I see that we have both X and YouTube watching. There's a poll. Is Tabitha's Victor's long-lost sister? So go ahead and vote on over there. But everybody have a good Halloween?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not really.
Yeah, not really. My Halloween fun was basically just live streaming about From, but that's always a good time.
I saw a bunch of the From costumes. A couple people dressed up as Boyd. That was pretty cool.
Oh,
I saw that
That's
too.
cool.
I thought that was dope. Oh my god, that's such a good idea. That's a
Nice.
good idea.
Were they black?
Yes.
Okay. Just
Yeah.
checking.
Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah. I'm making sure that's all.
I guess. Yeah, that would be weird, wouldn't it? I guess.
A bit. It would be a bit weird, yeah.
I will say though, as a woman though, I would still like Boyd's jacket setup. That's pretty cool. I like his peacoat setup. Somebody needs to sew that together for him on his arm. All right.
Handsome dude. We went trick-or-treating last night. It went great. And then we had more kids than ever at our house, which is I guess a good trend. And then we ran out of candy.
Oh my god.
But not really. But we turned the lights off.
I should have gave you some of mine. I bought way too much candy and had 4 trick-or-treaters.
It's not too late.
I was not in the mood for trick-or-treaters, so I just kept the candy and turned off the lights.
Wow.
Wow. I've done the same. I'm not gonna lie.
It was windy and cold out here. There wasn't really many kids on the street anyway. So I was like, you know what? I like
a
elderly.
perfect night to go trick-or-treating though. It's windy
Yeah.
and cold outside.
Vegas kids are not built like the Midwest.
Oh. Yeah.
It was
Go
go ahead, Lord.
I live in a really spooky town in the Midwest. So I live in 2 spooky towns, actually, Leavenworth and Lawrence, where Supernatural takes place. So, or where it's from anyway. And so it's both really super spooky and windy and dark and creepy. So
that's the perfect time to go trick-or-treating.
I know, but no, the kids all did trunk or treat. I don't even know what that is.
I heard the debacle of that people are upset that trunk or treat now has taken over trick or treat, so it's less the amount of kids to actually do trick or treating.
Lame.
It's lazy. It's laziness. We used to have to earn our candy. Trunk or treat. They go to a parking lot, all these people back up their cars, open their trunks, and the kids just go grab candy.
That's so fun. Where's the fun in that?
Where's this taking place at?
It used to be because if you lived in a rural area and there was miles between houses and stuff, that makes sense to do a trunk or treat so that everybody can come together. But now suburban moms have taken it over. So it's usually in the school parking lot and they'll deck out their trunks too, within themes. And then the kids just go around to these cars.
Jeez.
I mean, less likely to be kidnapped, I guess.
But it's one more way kids don't have to talk to people anymore. They can just go show up and be handed stuff, and there's no routine to learn. Why even bother knowing your neighborhood, right? You could just go to a parking lot and get in a trunk. Perfect.
Remember when we were kids and you go to Old Man Smitter's place and he had candy apples and possibly razor blades in them? Whatever. You gotta, listen.
Dude, we used to in my old neighborhood, there were 3 circular blocks, and after we hit those, we would cut through these woods we would cut through the woods, which was kind of spooky, I guess. We made it spooky in our minds, but then we would go to a completely different neighborhood and start trick-or-treating over there. And it was just like the unknown, like when we were, kids.
Sure.
That's what made it fun. It made it exciting.
My parents took us to the rich neighborhoods that gave out full bar candies. And you knew in the neighborhood who gave out
king size.
And you would go there first to
Nice.
make sure you got them. But yeah.
Oh, that's rare to get the full-size candy bars. That happened to me maybe once as a kid.
There was a house when I grew up. I knew exactly the house that do it. And you had to be like one of the first like 20 kids. Otherwise they ran out of them. And they always got like full size. My mother-in-law still does full-size candy bars. She'll like stack up a couple weeks before Halloween and do full size. Yeah.
That's so generous. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It was
go ahead, Nick.
I was say it was 73 last night. It was nice outside here. But then there was 78% humidity, which kind of sucked a little bit. But it wasn't bad.
Where is that at, Nick?
Here in South Florida.
Oh, you're in Florida?
Yeah.
I'm from Florida.
Yeah, whereabouts?
West Palm.
No shit.
Yeah, I just went to 2 weeks ago. I just went to Daytona, where my son lives, to do hurricane cleanup.
Oh yeah, no, I'm from Delray. So.
Oh no way. Oh okay.
Yeah. 561 baby.
Yeah, 561.
Small world.
Yeah, that's too funny.
All right,
I
let's
love
get
that area.
into From. All right, From episode 6. We got 4 episodes left for the season. Scar tissues. Part of me feels like there's a lot of filler in this, but part of me also feels like we've moved the story pretty fast forward. Thoughts?
Yeah, it definitely felt like there was a little bit of filler in this episode. I caught myself looking at my phone a couple times in the episode while I was just kind of listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was still invested, but I wasn't really like fully engaged like I have been, in the other episodes of the season. So, I was expecting, some things to happen, and then it would like cut to a different scene, and I'm like, of course, now you're kind of just start pissing me off a little bit, but I get it. You're building the anticipation and hype, and probably don't want to give us, all the cookies in the cookie jar at once. So you're going to just leave, part of a cookie here and give it, the half of that one next episode sort of thing. And then, so it was an okay episode overall, I think.
I mean, there was a big reveal with Fatima, and we'll get to that
yes.
at some point. The description on IMDb calls it Fatima and Ellis make a big decision about her pregnancy. Boy fears the future of his family. Tensions rise in the Matthews house, which is the opening here. And Randall's open up to is it Marielle?
Marielle.
Thank you. About his fears, which is cool. Like, we got a little bit of breadcrumbs. I honestly didn't like the Tabitha reveal, but we'll get to that point. But it opens up with I think the worst 2 characters.
Yeah. Yep.
Fighting. And I'm like, no wonder you guys are gonna get a divorce.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. But man, Jim when he's like frustrated and he's like scooting the thing, and I'm like, I've had this fight. We've all had this fight with a significant other.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
and it sucks because he can't like leave the house to like cool off, because where is he gonna go? Right into a nightmare monster.
But this was like, it's still unconvincing. Like, we've all had better fights than this.
Yeah, I don't buy this at all. God, it was such soap opera drama. I hate him. I wish he would and get eaten by a monster. He is completely useless. He is one of the most useless characters on this show. I have no idea why he's there. He serves no purpose.
Can I jump on the filler idea for a second? Because this show has 10 episodes, and there's so many mysteries left out there. They've opened so many mystery boxes. We don't know what's inside them. So please don't use filler. Go show us something else. Something and they're doing an okay job at bringing up things from season 1. Yeah. Sprinkling them back. So we didn't forget about this, they say, but just instead of that, instead of filler, give us a different C story for the episode, which is maybe just a little bit, but something that they've talked about before. They give us a reveal of some kind. Like, if you know what it is, just do it, because there's 10 episodes filler. You want to get a season 4. We want it to. No Just go straight forward. You have too much to cover and not enough time.
Yep.
Yeah.
I completely agree. This scene, I was so frustrated. I honestly, I was so confused. Like we don't normally get domestic looking scenes like this where they're just having an argument like that. It didn't feel like necessary at all for this show. They're having this domestic argument and you almost forget where they are until you hear the monsters screaming in the background. Like, I mean, even the monster wanted them to shut the hell up. Like,
yeah, I think that's what the monster was like. Can you guys shut your dumb crap up? We don't care.
But this is also stuff we've seen. We know their relationship. We understand from 3 seasons now that they've had turmoil, that they've lost a son, that they wanted to get divorced, that they're both bad parents and stuff.
Right.
Like, this is not needed. We understand their relationship at this point.
Exactly.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, it just kind of exploded finally. Like all of that, we already knew it. Now it just kind of exploded into a full-on argument that I really didn't feel was necessary. And yeah, like Zax was saying, you know, there's so many mystery boxes we're starting to open or they're teasing us about, and then they waste precious airtime, in my opinion, on soap opera type character drama, which I just didn't want or need at all. I found them both extremely annoying in this scene. Both of them said things that made no sense, that were just unreasonable. And yeah, it just reminded me why I don't like either character, to be honest. I was frustrated with this. I wish they had just focus on the mystery. Like there's so much that they still need to cover in only 10 episodes.
There's a lot they could have rewritten too. I mean, or just written instead. Sorry. Like after this, right? Like you talk about character building and character development, right? Trying to repair some relationships between, being the father who really hasn't done much. And when he's like, I've been here taking care of the kids while you've been gone. And I'm like, have you really though? Like you really haven't tried to bond with them. You really haven't been an actual father to them while the mother's been gone. And I would have liked to have seen something where, even in this instance, he leaves, the room with his wife and maybe goes to her, I don't know, like the fact that maybe his daughter is somewhere else, sparking a bowl, right? And maybe the dad walks in on her and she like tries to put it away and he's like, screw it, like let me get a hit of that. And they have like this bonding moment where it's just like, sure, it might be over them, hitting some weed, but it's like, who cares though? Like have them sort of connect on something so the daughter feels closer to the father can ask some questions about like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Like, maybe he opens up to his daughter a little bit more, or like she asks her father questions about, their past or what's going, to happen. Just something that gives us more context from a father-daughter point of view. And we get none of that. It's just like, this was like the only scene we see him in, if I remember correctly. And it was just like, that's it. Like he has a stupid argument and you make them weaker characters by default. And that's it. Mm-hmm. Like it's a bummer. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where they could have, given us more, fatty tissue, for them in the character development realm, but they don't. It's just like, we're going to keep going off in directions, filler. And it's just disappointing, I think, in some cases.
I almost feel like the writers don't know how to write these two characters. I
don't think so either.
I think they have like this, okay, so we'll have them argue and that'll take up X amount of time. We'll have, Jason Patrick from Wish and his strangely foreign wife have some weirdo conversation that they've had already 20 freaking times. It's like, listen, you're living in a haunted town full of supernatural eat your guts out monsters or whatever it is that they do to you. Who cares about your stupid? It's time to leave that shit alone. Even Ellis has managed to overcome. I mean, he's still got his problems. Sure, I'm not an Ellis supporter, but I am saying that the stuff from season 1 and a little bit into season 2, Ellis has sort of gotten over it. And this is someone who watched his dad blow his mom away with a Glock. They are, gotten over that. These two need to just stop it. Or you know what, Jim, go to Colony House and go find you somebody to hook up with. Like you, and he's not even. I'm sorry. Once I dislike a person on a show, it's really hard to shift me back. But I mean, you have Jade is the, I don't know what you want to call him, the Giles of the show. He's the technical guy that's going to figure stuff out. We don't need Jim. Jim is worthless. His one big idea was to make a radio that the monsters decided to, all he does is get hurt and he acts like the kids. He doesn't even know who they are half the time, much less care and love for them. He hasn't shown any caring for his kids since the pilot episode. So
honestly,
go ahead.
I agree with that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. But like,
I was done.
I completely agree with that. And honestly, he didn't even do that much with the radio. Jade was like the mastermind behind it all. Jade, with the help of Tien Chen, kind of figured out. She's mentioned electricity. He figured out, let's see if we can get the lamps to power the radio. Jim, basically, his contribution was, very minimal. And yeah, he had a good idea at the very beginning, put questions all over the wall and ask, about like every question they possibly have about what is this place. That was smart. And then I don't know what happened. He just turned into a total blockhead ever since then. And I thought that they had at least gotten things into perspective as a couple. Like, okay, maybe our petty squabbles are not worth having in this place. And yeah, we have this horrific grief, but now, we have to, get through it together instead of making this, something that sends them on the path to divorce. Well, guess what? There's nobody that can give you a divorce in Fromville. You're kind of stuck together. You could separate, but like you're gonna see each other nonstop. Maybe just, focus on healing. And he was a hypocrite. By the way, he said, he was staying with the kids. No, not really. No. He went out with Kenny overnight in the cabins and left them behind. And then it was only that night when he had no choice but to wait till morning when he was like, maybe I shouldn't have done this. I could actually get myself killed out here. I better go back and be with my kids so they're not orphans. He was a hypocrite too.
It's the writers. They don't know, because Jim should be with Jade at all time. If he is this smart person who knows how to build things and stuff, the two of them should be tied to the hip to kind of figure out how to get out of this thing. I'm with Toxic. I don't think the writers knew what to do with Jim. I think part of the reason is just Jim is part of this family, and there are two other characters that are important in this family, and the other two are just kind of put there just to kind of move the story along.
Yeah, I subscribe to your theory, Nadia. I think we need a total bloodbath.
Thanks, Aaron.
And we need to get rid of like 80% of these characters and just have like a small, like I am tired. I would like to see Jim like sacrifice himself for the family so the family can get away. I mean, as much as I dislike her, Jim's wife does serve a purpose. She has some sort of bigger, and I know you're going to touch on that, so I don't want to step on what you're going to talk about regarding her possible lineage and stuff like that. But I think even though I don't like her, she does serve a purpose. Jim does not. His best thing would be to pull a Quiet Place and just like sacrifice himself for the kid. At least that would be something. Yeah. And I don't know if he's like a bigger name actor in TV, and that's why he gets it. But it just like, dude, anytime they're on screen, I had my girlfriend and her son. I'm like, I got to go in the room and watch my show. I need everybody to be quiet and let me take notes. And like, I got out of the room and my girlfriend's like, how was your show? I'm like, freaking frustrating. Like, I'm so frustrated.
There's no chemistry between the two of them either. Even if they're supposed to be divorcees or soon to be divorcees, there's no chemistry. And again, I want to bring it back. They're both awful parents. They're both awful.
They're both awful people. They're both awful people.
Very selfish. Very selfish.
I can't picture a time when they were any kind. I mean, she's foreign, so I suspect maybe she was like a mail order bride that he got, and that's why there is no chemistry. Like, dude, I care more about what their kids are doing than the two of them. It's just like, but that's it. I'm not gonna keep.
We have Aaron Sparrow in the chat. Thanks for coming, Aaron.
Doomface. Do you have his Doomface link, Zax, by chance?
I can sure get it.
Yes, please drop it in the link. Aaron is a very smart guy, very talented, and just launched his own comic book called Kneel Before Doomface. And they had their launch party yesterday on Max's stream. So please check that out. And then I'll also put that link in the description after the stream is over. So those of you that are catching the replay, please go check out that launch. You'll love it if you're a big comic book fan. So there we go. KneelBeforeDoomface.com.
Although, wait, one more thing. Aaron, your launch party was only 2 hours. Like 2 hours is barely a party, dude. I was disappointed I missed it last night. Congratulations, sir. This comic book's awesome. And the link is in the chat here now, so go check him out. Kneel Before Doomface.
Nice.
Yeah, it looks sick.
Oh, Jana. Okay, Jana. Well, you asked for the responsibility, Jana. So I'm about to give it to you. Hold on. Sorry about this, guys. Add as a moderator. There we go. Now you have the wrench, Jana.
Feels like Julia's turning goth. I don't know. Is it me?
It's the weed.
Yeah, it's a weed.
Yeah.
It's the weed. It's the weed. It really is. It's the weed messing with her adolescent brain. Also, probably whatever trauma she's been dealing with also. In the voices in her head and stuff. I like that we get a little bit more of that information. But guys, like, come on. Kind of like how the town hall failed. The three of you need to get together and just talk about what's going on. So
and
that
it's a perfect meeting, right? 3 people.
Yeah.
There you go.
This family drama, I feel, is more like what is Hallmark issues going on here. I'm like, I'm over it.
But it's worse than Hallmark, and Hallmark is terrible.
Yeah, this is just so cliched to me too. Like Julie playing, being so annoyed with her parents, and it's just like I've seen this thing so many times. I've seen this play out over and over again, and we just don't have time for this stuff on this show. I know that there needs to be some character drama. I know that the creators, the showrunners, they're very big on they want to make you care about the characters. Like one of them even said in an interview, which I didn't personally like at all, it's not about the mystery. It's not about the mystery. He's like, he was focused on more on the character drama. And I'm thinking, that's not what the fans want to hear. I mean, we're really hooked on the mystery, I think. We're not here for the soap opera stuff.
Well, I'll disagree just slightly on that. What sold me on this show, I don't know if it was I guess it must have been season 1 because Boyd went on that adventure. But there's the point after, was it season 1 where Ellis got accidentally stabbed and he was in the hospital bed?
Dale stabbed him, by accident.
Was that season 1 though?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that was season 2. That was season 2. It happened because of the bus people. He was like, yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a scene where that has completely sold me on the show when I was kind of like on the fence with it because I don't like mystery box shows. I know. What are you doing here, Toxic? I know. I get it. But so I was watching it, and it's where Boyd reconciles with him and talks to him, and God, man, how he didn't win an Emmy for that speech. I was like, man, I had to watch it twice in a row, and I come back to it every now and then. I'll pull it up and I'll watch it. It's where he tells him, I don't. It's so realistic. It gave me chills, like we were in the same room with them watching something we weren't supposed to watch. And Fatima's like, hey, your dad's got something to say. You need to listen to him. And Boyd just lays it out for him. That's the kind of stuff I like. And now, and again, it's something that, listen, he watched his dad shoot his mom. So, I can't even imagine that. That's after his mom went nuts and was shooting everybody, he had to take the mom down. So it's just like, that was really heartfelt. And then the scene afterwards where he catches up with his dad and tells him he's sorry. And, that's good. I don't mind that. But they did that like one and done. And then that's it. It's just like, but this stuff is all like you guys said, like Hallmark. It's like, and it even ended how a Hallmark Lifetime argument would end. It's like no resolution. And then Jim's just like, I'm just going to go to sleep. It's like, oh, well, then what were you even fighting for? What do you even do?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's not, I love that kind of thing. I'll just agree with you. I completely agree. That was beautiful. Beautifully done. I think actually I've actually talked about this with friends too. I know the speech you're talking about now. It was after Ellis jumped off the Colony House roof, broke his leg or did something to his leg, and yeah, he was in the hospital bed, and yeah, it was season 1, and then yeah, he caught up to Boyd, and that was an absolutely beautiful moment. Harold deserves Emmys, An absolute closet full of Emmys for the performances he's done over the years, and for this show too. That's not what I'm talking about. Like, I love that kind of stuff. Like, that was beautiful. It's the soapy stuff, the cliched soapy stuff, like the Jim and Tabitha stuff that I don't care for at all. And the stuff with Julie sniping at them, although Julie's right to be annoyed, but yeah.
I thought we would take a break for a second and I would play this. This is the cast members talking about their favorite jump scares from the last 3 seasons. So I thought we would share this.
Cool.
My favorite scare, the first time that Boyd hears the creature speak to him.
You said this place couldn't break you. Do you remember that, Boyd? You don't fucking break me.
I don't think that's very scary, to be honest, but maybe it's a psychological scare to it.
Yeah.
Hearing the monsters. Yeah. So
the moment that Smiley comes up on the bus
and he kills the couple. That was something else. Jade, he goes.
That I miss Smiley. I'm stopping it just to give YouTube so YouTube doesn't take me down. I miss Smiley a lot. I think he was a very good night creature. Or that actor was just creepy in itself. Yeah. Like, I don't think any of the night creatures are that creepy.
Nope.
Cowboy isn't scary. Yeah, Cowboy, I think it's more of a psychological thing. Because I guess the Cowboy's really the first time I know they've spoken in the past, but not like straight dialect, I guess, to that point. Copa's the biggest From hater, man. Look at him. Biggest From hater. Copa just doesn't like world building.
If Boyd is wrong, if Harold is wrong on his answer, I blame the writers again, because he can do no wrong. He deserves all of the awards. He carries his show and he brings weight to every scene he's in, brings everyone else up to his level as best he can. And yeah, like, I like that. Internal tension is fine. But you don't have to manufacture fake internal tension in a family when you have, vampire zombies eating people. Like, your divorce is irrelevant right now. And it's when they dwell on that stuff, it makes me hate them even more.
Sorry, Jan, I don't mean to cause a riff.
Into the root cellar. I had to stop it and take a second before I started it again.
They were dissected.
I would say that one got me, actually. When I watched it, that one actually scared me, or at least made me jump.
That was a legitimate jump scare.
Yeah.
The monster
does his little finger thing. It gets me every time.
Made me jump up.
I don't find that scary.
Could he sound less like his character, Victor?
Yeah. Right?
What a great actor he is, for real. Like, you would not pick him as being the same person.
Yeah. Yeah, but that tells how much of a good, in a sense, method actor he is. Mm-hmm. Never breaks. Like, I will say, Victor and Boyd are the most consistent throughout the series, where everybody else had to grow a little bit.
Off the couch. I still love the scene Jasper the puppet shows up and just.
Oh, this is my favorite.
And then Jade screams right back at him.
When the monster.
That's.
I love that.
It's just
That's
funny.
such a Jade thing to do.
Yeah.
I need to get it as a clip for this stream. That's what I need to do.
Comes from the roof to get Ethan. That was crazy.
That was good. The scene where Father Cautry is killed.
When Elgin is driving us to the clinic, there's this one branch that gets me every time. Can you go any faster?
A branch?
Come on. Get out of here.
That's why nobody likes you, Fatima.
My pants.
My overall favorite
She shit her
is
pants? What?
when you see the old lady and the little kid.
In the window, in the openings. It's just so iconic.
And you know from that moment on, oh, this is scary.
All right.
Nice.
I have to wonder, when you see the actors as themselves, they do seem more likable than on the show. So how much of this is the writers and how much of it is actors of them not knowing where the characters are going? So their acting is affected because they don't know why am I saying these lines? What's this relationship for? And they really, because they seem like, charismatic people right there.
Yeah, that's a very good point. How can you possibly create a character in which you don't know where they're going with that? I mean, you can act as good as you can, and you could do with the material, but if you don't really, like that whole actor, what's my motivation? What's it? They can't tell you because they can't tell you what's happening because either one, they don't want to spoil it, or two, they just don't know. Which God, that's not the
we don't know yet.
Yeah, I hope it's not the second one.
By the way, the poll is 52 say yes, Tabitha is Victor's long lost sister. 48% says no. So we've got 22 people watching on YouTube, and we've got 13 on X. There's a poll happening over on YouTube, those watching on X. So come on over and please hit that like button and share the screen. Share the stream. Don't listen to Copa. That's my best advice to anybody. What do we think the dates or numbers and this tree bottle thing going on?
I've been seeing a lot of interesting theories about this. A lot of people in the fandom are talking about, like, they looked up, backwards 2s and 7s and what that could mean. And a lot of people are thinking it's a clue that it could be, that this could be translated into music notes. Also, the fact that the numbers repeat over and over again, they're less likely to be dates since they're repeating over and over, and they're the same in both trees, which is interesting. So, I think it could be possibly deciphered as music notes, like a lot of people in the fandom have been saying. I agree with that. I think that would be interesting. I'm not sure where they would go with that. It would give David Alpay a chance to play the violin again if he were to figure that out, because he's an amazing violinist. He really does play it in real life. Yeah.
Interesting.
Music.
That could be your next poll next week, Nadia. Like, what are the numbers for?
I mean,
yeah, because I thought backwards was just Europe dates, because they always put the month first, or the day first, and then the month and the year.
Day, month, year. Yeah. Canada does it too.
Military does that too.
But if it's music notes, but my thing is, and I guess the music, but in my head I go, has there really been anything music related in this series? But the music box is the only thing.
Right.
Music box, violin.
Yeah.
Violin.
I mean, I'm being a musician. I was just trying to figure out right now, in what stance would the music actually be relative to the overall mystery? Like what about, like, reading music or learning, like, musical theory is going to help solve this puzzle, basically. I mean, like the type of notes, like you've got, like, quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, like the different scales, perhaps, like, I'd have to look at it a little bit more and think for myself. That's the first time I've heard that theory, Julie. So I don't know. Maybe I'll think a little bit more into it. I mean, we've got 2 days until the next episode, so something could happen in 2 days' time. But that, I mean, it's interesting though.
Can I just do I sound like I'm down a well? I wouldn't mind being down a well with Boyd. If I had to pick someone from this show, it would be Sarah, then Boyd, maybe, to be stuck down a well with. But do I sound like I'm down a well?
No.
You sound fine. You sound fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Wild, I can't tell what the red markings are on that box. It must be a logo for.
It's a logo for whatever the box was holding. I don't know if you remember from last week. I was in your chat and I said grid square coordinates, but that kind of doesn't seem as likely now, just because, I mean, Boyd was in the military, so if it was coordinates, and he hasn't even said it. So I guess that was my girlfriend pointed that out to me. She's like, she's like, isn't the main guy an army guy? I said, yeah. She's like, so you don't think he would recognize them as coordinates? I'm like, yeah, good point.
I sound like I'm down a well.
I wonder if the song they use is some telling in the beginning for the credits. If it's music notes, maybe there's something.
Yeah.
I have not had time, and maybe Julie, you can give an insight on this, but I believe the opening credits have changed a couple of times, right? Or have had things added to it.
Visually? I think there's very slight changes. Yeah, just a little bit.
How many numbers are on each thing? Is it consistently the same amount of numbers? 4.
No, on each tree, they're the same. Yeah, they're like identical in terms of the numbers. There's the same numbers on each tree, the same number of them, and
how many numbers on each scrap of paper?
Oh, there are 4 on each paper. There are 4. Yes.
We don't know how many bottles have been on each tree, though, to my knowledge.
Could they be shortened birthdays?
Yeah, I mean, I wondered about that last week too, if it was relative to dates. You know, I think I agreed with you, Toxic, about it could have been latitude and longitude, but now that doesn't seem the case. I don't know if it could still be like addresses, but the problem with that, I believe I said last week, is going off of numbers. I mean, that's so vague in the scheme of every other type of, you know, street, avenue, boulevard, you know, that could come after that. Like it doesn't, there's not enough evidence that submits that it could be an address. And then obviously if you look at, you know, the 2s and 7s that are backwards, like, you know, what does that mean? You know, like, you know, start and return, you know, locations where you could, you know, end up. It's still so damn big. I hate it.
Even if it's music notes or dates, why though? Like, why?
That's exactly my point. Like, what
is the reason, regardless of what it is, either or, what is the reason for it? Like, why would there be music notes or dates in these bottles? I mean, and why hasn't Victor said anything? Because if he's been around for a while, has he been around when these obviously he's been around when these trees were made, if these were made by his mother.
Well, another YouTuber on Think Story said that Victor's memories cannot be relied upon. Like if something's upsetting to him, he will bury it down and not remember it, which is, you know, super beneficial for the plot to happen. So
yes, very convenient.
Very convenient. Yeah. So there's that. But so yeah, a lot of the stuff that he's revealed over time has been like, oh, I didn't remember that until just now because it made me sad in my tummy, you know, or something. So it's like Victor, I don't know that we can rely on what Victor says and what he doesn't say. I mean, he didn't even remember his dad until recently. He like blocked that out. So, or the puppet master guy, he didn't remember that until just very recently. So I don't know.
They just need to torture this man to get information out of him at this point. That's where I'm at. Waterboard Victor. That's where I'm at. Not really, but maybe.
Of course you like that technique, Nadia, but right now this is a good freeze frame.
It is.
Jade has that Jesus pose going on.
With his beard.
Yeah.
I'll be really mad if this goes nowhere.
I think it has to mean something. It has to be important. It's hard to think of what it could be now. Somebody had an interesting idea. Wild in the comments. That was everything kind of runs together. Who has what idea? Because I talk so much about this show, but yeah, Wild had an idea that maybe you know, this, like if he can decipher this. Let's say it turns out to be a musical composition, and he plays it. Maybe it triggers a vision that gives them clues to like what is going on here, what exactly, you know, obviously it can't show them everything, but maybe it gives them clues. Maybe it's part of the game, because this does feel like a game in a lot of ways. Maybe that's what it is. And like, you know, if you think about it, like the music has been associated with visions before. In season 2, the music box was there every time there was some kind of dream state. And music has been around, you know, influencing things too, like the jukebox kind of messing with people, giving them hints about stuff they should do, or manipulating them, or trolling them, as in this season with Kenny. So yeah, I think it'd be interesting. But yeah, I really hope, I mean, we'll get to it, but like I hope Ghost Tom is not right. If they're trolling us all this time and the bottles in the tree mean nothing, like Ghost Tom was implying, then I would be very disappointed.
What if this is a red herring? It would be, we riot in the streets. We riot peacefully. We riot in the streets about it. I'm just curious because, like, at this point, we've had strips of numbers, bottle trees for at least 2.5 seasons now. Let's get to the point, guys. Like, you don't have to give us all the answers. If you really want to spread this out to 5 seasons, you don't have to give us all the answers, but you got to give us some of them. And I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated. You're like, and I think everybody else is.
And stop having the characters forget about what they were doing from the episode before, and then just move on to a new surprise mystery. Because what was it, episode 3 or 2, when they're talking about trapping a monster, like using in one of the houses, and that it just has not gone back to that at all. No one's talked about it again.
Good point.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, I kind of wonder, maybe like something Julie just said, is that if it is based on music composition and there's something that is played in, some sort of tone, some sort of, chord that, regardless of the device that's being used, the instrument, maybe that's something that actually affects the nightmare creatures, like stuns them, actually like makes them cringe, makes them, fear whatever tone is being played. It could be a way to battle them. It's like bullets don't do, jack shit. So maybe the music is what actually fights them. That's what you can actually use to battle them. And it would kind of pan out that way, considering Jade actually plays, a musical instrument there. So Jade would therefore be the one to actually, disturb the nightmare creatures. Maybe he just goes in their cave, starts playing the violin, and then they all explode. Who knows, right? Like, I'd be up for that. Make it a little gory, just something, make it a little more exciting, I guess. But yeah, still way too mysterious.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
I wonder if everybody just takes these numbers that you can see and just put it in an AI generator and just see what comes up.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
I'm just saying, let AI solve it.
I do like the point of why did we forget about grabbing a monster and waterboarding them or doing whatever? Like the monsters, they are bulletproof. Okay, fine, but they're not. They still obey some laws of physics. So like, why can't you, build some traps for them, or like what if you hit them with something in like like an arrow with a bolt on it, like they do in John Carpenter's Vampires, and like hold them down? Like, wouldn't that work? What if you smashed them between two cars?
Yeah,
wouldn't that keep them? They are solid. You can touch them.
Right.
They're not. So I mean, I don't know. And I know they're super strong and they're fast, and projectiles don't necessarily do anything to them. But I mean, what if you hit them with a bunch of projectiles all at once? I mean, they've got weapons. I'd like to see that sniper rifle that Randall had get put into play. And like, what if you blew their legs off? Would they still be able to keep coming? Would they throw it back?
Exactly. If you started to kill, let's say you killed all of them off, how would there be more? Would more come somehow magically? Right? Like, how many are there? How many exist? Is there infinite, and they only kind of just come out, a number at a time, because they sleep too. So it's like they have a sleep cycle, which is.
Guys, those are all good questions, and those are good thoughts. I've had those too. But what I want to know about the most is what's happening with Jim and Tabitha and the relationship.
Stop it.
Speaking of relationship, here's a better one with shorter amount of time on screen. That's better and better chemistry between
way
the
better.
two of them.
Oh yeah.
Henry and Victor, and kudos to Victor, man. Every single time he's on screen, the actor is Victor, like playing this person who learning disability, like obviously because you're homeschooled having all this PTSD and drama, and then hearing him talk off screen, like in interviews, it's like night and day. So kudos to him, man. Him and Boyd, I think, and Joyd are probably the best on the show. But Henry here wants to be with his son. He found his son after so many years, and Victor's trying to explain to him that he has to go get something out of the caves, but it's very dangerous, so he can't come with him because he doesn't want to, something to happen to his dad. But he can at least walk with him to it, so he follows him too. But the little bit that they're on screen together is always, there's something that moves the story forward when these two are on screen. Yeah. Besides Tabitha and Jake.
It feels very genuine, the love that Henry has for his kid that he hasn't seen in so long. Like he wants to respect him as a man and not get in the way as like the town expert and stuff. But at the same time, he's like, well, can I come with you? Can we, it's not like he's saying, hey, let's go get a drink and hang out. But he's just like, well, if you're on an adventure, let me come with you. Let me at least, maybe I can help. It seems very genuine, everything that he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah. That darn Jasper. Anybody else thought somebody was going to be digging into the drug cabinet in this scene? Because I really thought like Kenny was going to snatch something up or somebody was going to snatch. They leave this just wide open. Anybody can grab it.
Yeah, right.
Free for all.
Not smart. Not smart with Marielle around. And the way that she shooed Kenny away really fast. Like, oh no, don't worry, I'll take care of this. It made me wonder if she's using again. And that's why she's doing so suspiciously well, even after the cicada thing. Julie and Randall are struggling so much. And Marielle, she seems better than ever. And she should still be going through withdrawals. It hasn't been that long in the world of the show. She shouldn't be doing this well. So
I have a theory on that.
Yeah.
There's a theory going around, and I agree with it, that something in the town makes people heal faster. So like she's gotten over her drug addiction faster than she reasonably should. Ellis healed from his knife wound way faster than he reasonably should. Jim's multiple injuries, he's healed so fast, and that may even lend itself to what happened with the baby. And the older chick, the witch, whatever her name is, Tilly.
Donna or Tilly. Tilly
doesn't seem to have cancer anymore.
Yep.
You know? So it's just like, and you know, Donna's been able to stay chunky like the entire time that she's there. So I mean, you know what I mean? Like people are, you know, it just seems like
that's true. No one's starving.
Yeah, exactly. Like things seem to happen. Boyd has been mangled every single season, and he seems to be moving around just fine. You know, I mean, I lifted up something too heavy at Daytona Beach for hurricane relief, and my hand still hurts. You know, and that was all I did was like spraying my thumb a little bit, and it's still killing me every single day. These guys are getting heavy knife wounds. If they don't get killed in the attack from the monsters or something else happens, they seem to look at the little boy. The little boy had a piece of rebar or something from the thing that should have gotten at least infected, if nothing else. So and he just walks around totally fine. Everything's fine.
I like that theory.
Julie, I like your theory of her using again, because it made me click to the fact that Julie is using in this to kind of block out things. So maybe she's doing something harder to help just kind of get by.
Exactly.
Kind of block stuff out.
Yep.
Interesting.
Good.
Where's that morphine bottle? I gotta look now.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
See where it is.
Yeah, Julie said that the weed is the only thing that makes it quiet in her head, because she's hearing screaming from that state that she was in. So yeah, I think it's a possibility.
How is Kenny the most sane and leveled one throughout this episode and last? I don't understand what happened. I mean, I guess losing your mom would like grief is different for people, but he's the level-headed one, which is really weird to me. Maybe the writers just don't know anymore what to do with him as well, because maybe his story is in a sense concluded with his mother passing or being killed. But also Boyd shouldn't feel this guilty with Randall. I don't think so.
No, I'm a certified Kenny hater, and I'm liking him more and more now this season. So he was great this episode, I thought.
Yeah, very level-headed. But maybe he sees that, you know, how people throw themselves into things when something happened, like when you lose a loved one or something that you throw yourself into your work. Maybe he's just thrown himself into the idea of that Boyd's probably not going to be around forever. Somebody has to stand up, you know, step up to help out to make sure this thing keeps running.
Is he still the deputy?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
They forgot about that.
Yeah, they did. They did forget, Zach. They completely forgot.
They forgot about Acosta, the cop with the gun, too. Where is she?
Yeah, she was in this episode.
One episode ago.
I'd like to see Randall step up and be the deputy. I think that would make a lot more sense.
No, Randall's now Boyd's mortal enemy. They've set it up to be, which makes no sense. Like, listen, I get it, dude. You were left. That scar's not too bad. Chicks dig scars. You're going to be okay.
That's what I said.
He needs to quit being a baby about that whole. He's fine. He's living with two hot lesbians. Everything's like. Good.
I think he's gonna intervene on Marielle.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. Their conversation, I'm like,
I got a vibe as well.
Yeah, it's a weird vibe I got. I'm like, I wonder.
What a big baby too. He's like, I guess I'll go back to the bus. It's the only thing I got. I'm like, really, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they're really gonna kick you
That was
out.
a bait.
Yes.
That was a bait. And then she's like, you could just stay here at the clinic.
He knew she was
and then
gonna
bang me
offer
later.
that. Yeah,
That's what I heard in my head.
That's
Well,
what I
maybe
heard.
that'll free up Chrissy for Kenny finally.
I would like that.
I'm also kind of over the Fatima Ellis
Yeah.
relationship. I
I'm
don't
over
feel
Ellis.
Yeah, I don't feel Ellis contributes very much
No.
to things. Which is weird with who his dad is being.
Yeah, you'd think the writers would have kind of written him into a bigger arc for him to step up more in season 3 by now, you know.
I think they were supposed to be, or they set it up as it felt like they're going to be sort of opposing forces because of the rift, and that he'd be leading the colony house people, or a younger contingent of them, taking more chances, being riskier, and then his dad is the cop and he's the sheriff, and he kind of tries to hold people down and protect them, and they just kind of forgot about that. Like that's kind of what I'm not saying they were going to do that, but it felt like that for me early on season 1, and it's just now Ellis is just like a doormat who, you know, appears in some scenes and annoys me.
Yeah.
Did anybody else see the fact that she's not pregnant coming a mile away?
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like a monster baby, if anything, that was like making her do stuff. I thought that. I didn't guess the not pregnant thing.
It's deformed. Yeah, just something weird like that. It's got teeth.
Teeth, yeah, claws and fangs, like Ellis was thinking. I mean, I still think that there may be some kind of entity in her, but it's just not a baby that can be seen on a sonogram, or maybe it's some entity that just an ultrasound can't pick up. So I'm still thinking that, but yeah, I did not expect to just see a human baby pop up there. No, absolutely not.
Yeah, I actually was the route of which is weird. My husband said there's nothing in there. She's just turning into a night creature. And my head's like, no, there's something there. We're gonna see something like a human baby, but maybe glowing eyes or something to that effect. I was surprised that there was nothing, that she was not pregnant, because she took a pregnancy test, I believe, right? That showed positive in season 2.
You can get a false positive.
I was going to say it seemed like a potentially false positive, but there again, maybe it is something that's like supernatural growing inside of her that can't be picked up by an ultrasound. Like they would need some sort of I don't know. Like it's kind of hard to say. Like we need some other type of device that can detect things on a different kind of spectrum, which they're not going to have in Fromville. So they're just SOL at this point, and they're going to have to wait to see.
Or maybe the pregnancy test was something that was supernaturally messed with, so that people would assume her weird behavior and the stuff she's doing was because she's pregnant, but in fact it's because she's turning into a monster.
Also, maybe they need to do the ultrasound at night, since these night creatures like to sleep during the day.
Ooh, I like that. I like that a lot.
That is a good idea.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. I honestly think, to be honest, we're all having these theories, but the most realistic theory is probably the one that's going to happen, and the fact that she's probably turning into a night creature. The easiest, most explainable one is what is it called?
Maybe in a kimono.
Yeah. No, I don't think she's a kimono lady anymore.
No,
I don't think so. No.
Not with that picture.
I think Fatima is the example we are getting, because in season 2, it was when they were dissecting Smiley, some human organs said that potentially this thing could have been human at some point. I think Fatima is the example that we're seeing of how these creatures come to be. That's my theory.
Agreed. The term you're looking for is Occam's razor, by the way.
Thank you. Occam's razor. Thank you. Yeah.
This is a different topic, really, or what's tied to the show, but I'm thinking about this more this season. Do you think it's possible that monsters could be cured? Like, because the first season you have the girls, she didn't choose to be this way. We've had that come up a few times now, that it's almost like they're not victims, but this is not something they chose. Do you think at the end there's a possibility some of them may be saved?
I mean, yeah, that's an option, right? Yeah, maybe it's the music that can do it. Who knows? Like, but would you want to save them? Like,
no.
Yeah.
No, I'd be burning them with fire right now as much as I possibly could. I'd be, like you said, pin them between some cars, cut their head off, see what happens. Yeah, that's what I would do. But the fact that they're not doing that or even exploring stuff like that, we've watched enough zombie shows to at least try something, but they seem to refuse to do that.
Like, shoot them in the head, right? That's I think it's a rule in Zombieland, right? You shoot them in the head. Like, if you have a sniper rifle, double tap. If you shoot them in the head and they fall over, then you go, well, there's one solution. So we're just limited on sniper ammo at that point. So shoot well, shoot wise. But yeah.
And they walk without legs. How does that work?
They move so slow. You could just, I mean, Boyd should be able to do it, number one. But, I would imagine Kenny could do it as well.
Randall could.
Randall for sure, yeah. Even police lady,
Well, I think we've established she's not a very good shot.
True.
Well, she just doesn't know what to shoot, but she did hit something. So she can hit a target, just not the right one.
Right. Well, yeah, she hit an annoying character that no one likes. So I mean, good for her.
So she did hit the target.
There's a cool line from the graphic novel of 30 Days of Night, one of the sequels, where it's just like it's ridiculous, but I mean, they come up with an idea to get like 50 cals and start shooting the vampires in the head. They're like, it doesn't matter how powerful or fast they are, nothing can survive without a head. So I mean, that's where I come out. It's just like, can't figure out a way to lay some lead into them, and I mean, maybe that's just the way I think, but it seems like,
me too.
What was wrong with Kenny's idea to throw a bunch of gas bombs on them? I mean, why not? What could it hurt?
Great idea.
I mean, I don't know. It just seems like they have to follow some sort of physics with it. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, they've shot them before and it's done nothing to them. I mean, granted, they haven't shot them in the head, so that could be different, but they have shot them pretty much. And even Donna made a remark a couple episodes ago where they're like, we've done everything, we shoot them and nothing hurts them. So I'm more on the line that they need to capture one alive and maybe cut off its arms and legs so it can't go and interrogate it. I'm into torture for some reason lately. I don't know why. I don't know why my head's would go there. But this scene where Donna is basically covering up Dale, poor Dale, R.I.P., I think indicates that she is going to unalive herself. I think she is doing a final, monument, but memorial for him, making sure that he's taken care of and cover up. But I really think Donna is headed to unalive herself in this series.
Oh, hope not. I hope not. I mean, she found one of her own people, a red shirt hanging in season 1, and I hope it's not. I hope it doesn't end up being foreshadowing for her. I know she's being pushed to her limit. We've never seen her break down sobbing like she did this season, so I could see it happening, but I hope not. I really like this character. I think she's she's one of my favorites, actually. I would hate to see her go. I thought it was nice what she did, although for Dale, but on the other hand, it's like, this isn't going to help that much. His body is still stuck in there. Like, I don't know what they could possibly do, but the rocks up against there, like, they're still going to be, it's not going to be a nice smell going by.
One of those nightmare creatures just can walk by and just knock that shit over in the middle of the night. Be like, "Aha! All your hard work is,
True." Yeah.
I'd have been so petty if I was Boyd, and I'd just been like, put a big "I told you so" sign next to it. Like, okay, next time you want to question my leadership, like here you go. Look at Dale. Look what happened to Dale stuck in a wall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, I don't trust Donna. I think Donna is a turncoat of some kind. I think she's somehow working with the monsters, or she maybe possibly is one, or something. I do not trust Donna at all.
I don't think that theory follows through. I'm sorry, Toxic. Like, I can understand Tilly. I can even maybe understand Marielle, but Donna has been here from season 1, and she's consistently on Boyd's side and always. So I cannot see her being a mole. There has not been any, unless you have examples. There have not been any layout of her being a mole or in.
She just seems to always be more towards let's sustain and maintain than actually, like, when people come up with ideas to escape or do this or that, she's all more towards, she's not against it per se, but she doesn't really seem to care much about that. She seems to just be like, I want to just run my house and,
I can understand that. She wants to give people a sense of normality here in this abnormal world, though. You need somebody like that in this, where Boyd can be the person that's like, we have to escape. Let's come up with plans to figure out how to go. And she's the other side of the coin, where she's like, we still have to maintain some sensibility to make sure that people aren't going crazy and that they can have a life here while they're here.
I agree that that's important. I'll even give you the fact that may be what she's doing, and I might be wrong, but I just don't. It just seems really suspect in her strange. I do agree that she's also acting out of character, and she seems to be at the end of her rope, but she could be doing that because she's feeling guilty for somehow being included in stories like this. There's always a traitor, always, and I think it's her, or she's at least one of them.
Gina, maybe the grannies want to go skinny dipping. Yeah, why not fill the pool up and drown these things?
How about fire? I mean, what would fire do? I mean, I would wonder about that. Like, are they gonna pull a Michael Myers and just walk right out of the blaze? Like, can they do that, or does fire work on these things? That's what I would want to try.
Like, test it out. Test acid, fire, freeze one of them, run one over. Like, test it out. Cut one's head off. Like, see what happens.
You have nothing else to do.
Right.
You'd think they would.
Yes. It seems like there'd be at least one person that would just be in there going, like, spending their time trying to, like, build a Wile E. Coyote and catch one of them or do stuff to them, because I mean, something's got to work. I mean, what if you had a rope and it caught their foot and pulled them up, they have to obey some sort of physics. That's what they can walk off gunshots, but they register the gunshots. They jerk when they get hit. So, I mean, I don't know.
Well, you only shoot them in the center of mass every time, so we have no idea what that does. And they don't have organs, right? We've seen them on the inside, but we don't know, like, do their joints work if they've been blown up? Do your knees still work? They shoot them right in the chest, and it's like they're fine.
Yeah.
Shoot anywhere else. Get that cop to shoot. She can't aim. She might hit them somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, they're going to go into the cave, which I was like, well, okay. I think that's the most exciting part of this episode, especially when we get to the point where one of them is like, hey, Victor, we're going to do something to you if you keep coming down here. Like, we're not going to let you just walk out again.
Yes.
Which is like, does that mean, Victor, you've talked to these things before? Like, you've had... Somebody waterboard this man. I'm telling you, he's got the keys to it.
Okay, but this is the same guy that no one asked questions of, and he's digging graves for the exact number of people who are about to die. And then nobody's like, hey, well, 8 for sure? Do you know what 8? And he just wanders off. And no one has any follow-up questions. He's just getting ahead of it.
The not now kiddo trope, TV trope, is really grating at my nerves. The whole, that's like a TV trope where people don't talk. I think we've talked about this before, at least you guys did, about the whole, they don't communicate with each other properly, and no one, it's like one person knows something, but they don't talk to the other person who might know something. I mean, you know, I mean, I get it. I do agree with Jade that, you know, like 20 people in a room is a bad meeting, but 2 or 3 people could definitely speak to each other. And, you know, I mean, they don't need the red shirts, but like the key people, they should have some sort of council. And what drives me nuts is that in that flashback from season 2, I think it was, they show Boyd telling the preacher before they got the talismans. He was like, okay, you guys need to, he makes like a military structure. Like, you guys need to conserve your resources. You guys need to do this. You need to plan. We need to figure out where we're going to go, and then where we're going to go after that if we get caught. Stuff like that. Like, that stuff's not happening anymore. The monsters have them on the back foot all the time.
Yep. Very true.
And then we have Randall and his cool scars. That doesn't look like it hurts that bad.
Yeah. It's
Just walk it off, man.
It's a shaving incident is all that is. It's no big deal.
Dude, you walked away from the slow walker monster people. Like, you're still, who else has done that? You know, I mean, dude, I'd be stoked. I'd be like, man, yeah, I got into it with the monsters and I'm still walking around.
I actually think his neck wound is worse than his actual cheek. Like, his cheek is like stapled up or sewn up, and the neck wound looks deeper. Like, they should have sewn that one up too as well.
It sort of
Poor
solidifies
management.
my theory about the quick healing in the From universe, doesn't it? I guess we'll see what happens here pretty soon.
Oh, good. Yeah. Lake of Tears. I don't even know, like, what's the meaning of this injury? Like, what was the point of all that? Just they messed up his face slightly. It's
Just to start a rift with Boyd.
But I thought we could do way worse to him and still start a rift.
Well, Boyd's theory, when he talked to Kenny, if you remember, he says, you know, these things come out at night, and you know, some people think there's some kind of normalcy during the day, but now he's a walking advertisement of what they can actually do, because he's not just some ripped up person they buried. He's someone that's like walking around with scars of you know, which I don't agree with that, because it's like, I'd be like, wow, he survived a run-in with the monsters.
It's not so bad.
Yeah.
What do you think it is, Julie? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. That quote from Boyd was really interesting to me. I found that concept. I think it fits in with the psychological warfare that they're waging on them. Boyd was saying that, you know, they go around all day pretending that they're safe, and now they can't pretend anymore. They'll see a reminder of what's waiting for them at night, and so these people are compartmentalizing. During the day, this is what people do, you know, in real life too, you know, like you compartmentalize and you pretend things are okay so that you can survive, and that this is what they're doing during the day. And now they'll see him and he'll be a walking visual reminder. So I thought that was interesting. And I think it was also to cause a rift with Boyd. That's another thing, like, just because Randall has already been a thorn in his side, and this could make it worse. But I found that concept interesting, and also the scar reminds me a lot of the Joker. Like,
yeah,
and also it kind of looks like Smiley in a way. Like, you know, it's also a visual reminder because it looks like a ghoulish smile on one side of his face, and all the monsters smile all the time.
True. Yeah, you're right.
And you did notice they did this right after Randall and Boyd had decided to team up together in their, you know, cop buddy thing to capture one of the monsters. So it was like the two most capable characters, you know, at least physically and maybe tactically, and then all of a sudden they create this rift between them.
Yeah. I think we're about to see somebody's gonna becoming a villain. And by that I mean not the night creatures, but somebody in this town has to be, in a sense, the night creatures surrogate villain. So it's got to be somebody, and it might easily be Randall. To me, partially could be Ellis if something were to happen to Fatima. Like, somebody's being set up to be their surrogate villain in this. Or maybe the three of them are going to team up in some way. And by the three, I mean Julie, Randall, and Marielle.
The problem with the internal villain issue they've got is, unless they're working with them already, it's tough to, and they have to give us something for them to have to fight about, or it could be there's only 3 of you can get out. That would be from the monsters. Hey, 3 of you can leave, and that's it. You can pick which 3, and they get to go home. Something like that would then cause that rift, and then cause the. I think right now, like they could do what you're saying, and I think that might add to the story. But I think I struggle to see why you would bother splitting at this point. Like there's nothing to gain from it. Or unless someone's doing something wrong and you want to fight them, but like no one does anything on this show. There's like 40 people standing around the pool looking at poor Dale die. And what were they doing that day? Were they all within 5 minutes of the pool? It's weird. Like no one in this town does anything.
That's why I think they're set up for another massacre. I think that's why we have such a high NPC body count.
Please.
Is because I think we're about to be set up for another massacre in some way.
Massacre away. Get rid of some of these people. I don't care about them.
Agreed.
Also, I think your mole is the very heavy set woman in Colony House. Not Donna, but there's the one with she wears
Clara.
the bandana. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is she Olsen? I mean, I know she's a good NPC, but she's getting a lot more lines. She's in the background more often now. And I'm like, why is this chick always around? What is going on? I think
popping
that
up
might
everywhere.
Be your mole right there.
She's times, yeah. She's popping up. Yeah. She's she's interesting. Yeah, she pops up right after Elgin's vision later too. So yeah, it could be.
I think I think she's something going on. This was a touching moment between Julie and Kenny. I will give it that. Catching her smoking some weed. But listen, this is Frub. What else are you going to do around here? There's only so many books you can read. It's not like they got cable TV. So what else are they going to do?
I know what I'd be doing.
Well, you're a dude. Women can't do that very often.
That's not. Jeez, you get your head out of the gutter. No, I mean, I'd be working on ways to capture or kill the monsters. Oh my god. No.
That too.
Oh, god.
I thought this was very sad when he's realizing that this house is no longer his house, right? His mom is gone. This is now the Matthews house. He really doesn't belong here. And it's very sad. Poor Mrs. Lee, whatever. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Yeah. But again, this and the opening, fillers.
Yep.
Fillers for this episode. You got 4 episodes left, guys. Like, come on. If you want to be renewed for season 4, you got to give us something.
I mean, agreed, but I mean, at least you have to admit, at least it's 2 likable characters.
It was a good scene.
It was. It's touching. This is, if they want to give more of the human aspect of this series, scenes like this make sense, right? Julie is struggling with what's going on. She's smoking weed. She doesn't want her parents to find out. Kenny is, in a sense, lonely. This is, his mom's no longer at this house. So this is a touching scene. This gives it more human to this series. Unlike the opening where we've got 2 people who we know already don't like each other half the time are fighting.
Again.
And part of this is to remind us, because I think the writers must smoke a lot of weed, that yes, Julie is smoking a lot of weed. Yes, we remember. We watch her show. You don't have to build in these scenes to remind us.
Yeah. By the way, she only had like 2 nugs in that container. All right.
It's true.
She hasn't gone through that already. There's no way the amount of bowls I've seen her smoke.
I don't know. The electricity comes from nowhere. Maybe the weed comes from nowhere too.
I was wondering that. I wonder if it grew somewhere out there. They're like, you know what? We give these people nightmare monsters and nightmares and music box and stuff. Let's give them at least a little bit of weed.
Yep.
Well, yeah, they give them a drug that pacifies them and just makes them like sit around and do nothing. It's not like they got a meth distributor. Can you imagine if all the From residents were all on meth? They'd definitely be trying to kill or capture these monsters.
I actually
Let's make that show.
Something in the water.
Yeah.
To me, because everybody's drinking the water. Very much so.
True.
Oh yeah, our favorite bartender is back. Julie, I have a question for you.
Yep.
is this bartender, obviously it's the entity for good, bad, or just neutral? Because part of this conversation is like, you're looking for answers that are going nowhere. And then towards the end of this conversation, it's like, well, you need to be, you know, thinking of this, and that. Like not helpful to helpful. So what is going on here?
Yeah, I think that this is part of the evil entity. I had to watch it a couple times because it's more subtle than say like the Abby ghost. She was overtly sinister, but this one, it's a little less obvious. But I think he's deliberately trying to get Jade not to pay attention to the bottles. He said, "Oh, maybe they're just something somebody put there because they thought they meant something," and I personally think they have to mean something. If they don't mean something, then the show's been trolling us since season 1, and people would be upset at that. This has been built up to be something. I think there's something he needs to figure out regarding the bottle trees, and this entity is trying to dissuade him from doing it. He also made a reference to Jade's visions as if, you know, they mean nothing too. Because Jade already, he doesn't understand the visions, and he thinks that they're just crazy hallucinations, kind of. But yeah, like those mean something too. His visions are something that he needs to figure out as well. So I think this was bad advice. And also, it might sound strange, but when he told him, you know, if you want to beat this place, sober up. In this place, with this backward world that they're in, I don't necessarily think that that's a helpful thing, because I think Jade is so deeply tapped into this place with these visions that started with his drug. Sorry, my dog is making noise. With his drug trip, I think his drug trip kind of made him even more tapped into this place. Like Miranda did acid, and all of a sudden she started seeing all these things, and she was already destined to be in this place. It just kind of intensified it. The visions that Miranda had, I think it's the same kind of thing with Jade. That drug trip he came in on, he was high out of his mind. And ever since then, he's had these visions. And I think one thing that's helped is the weed. It seemed to help Julie with her issues with this place, being tapped into it now with this entity kind of inside of her still. So sobering up completely, you know, say he gets off the weed and he doesn't drink at all, it might actually make things worse and make his head too overwhelmed to try to figure things out, in my opinion.
Maybe that's why Christopher went mad, because there wasn't any drugs available.
Maybe. That could be. Yeah.
I mean, drugs do make things better. Don't do drugs, kids, but drugs do make things better in some cases.
Right.
Drugs?
In this
what?
world. That's why I say in this world. It's not great advice.
Yes, in this world. Don't do drugs in the real world. Or if you're an adult. Anyway, I agree with you. That's because I think the writers were on acid when they wrote this. Everything kind of evolves around drugs in this case a little bit. Like there's little touches here and there. Music and drugs.
They go well together.
But here's the thing: is this a red herring though? Like we said earlier, what if these pieces of paper and these bottles don't mean anything, or they mean something in our world? Like if we had finally fucking gotten to the bottle tree in the quote unquote real world, would we have figured it out? You know.
I hope it's not a red herring. It's possible, but they've been built this up since season 1. Oof.
Yeah, I it's like, how many red herrings could you potentially have in a show, or a little in a season? Like,
yeah, you've heard
I
a
don't
lot
know
about
that.
You heard
I thought this too, Zax, where maybe this is all happening in Miranda's head, and these characters. This would be the biggest fuck you to the fans. I feel.
Yeah,
it's the Bill and Ted effect, right? Like with the Matrix, like they wake up and it's like, whoa, dude, I had a crazy dream.
Yep.
I was like the one, and I could stop bullets and fly. No way. Excellent. Right? Like,
can I get some lube, please? No lube for you guys.
That would be the biggest fuck you.
I'll never watch anything ever again by these writers.
Yeah,
Me neither.
I'll never watch another mystery box show again if this.
Yeah,
if that's
just
what
blacklisted. It's like world building. It just gets blacklisted.
Yeah, I do the same thing with the Russo brothers. I don't really watch anything by them after The Gray Man. I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm done.
Outside of Marvel, their writing is
shit.
just so underperforms. It's like it's not even mid.
Yep, it's nothing to write home about.
Nope.
So, Julie, you riot with us, right?
Absolutely. Riot. I would riot in the streets. Like, no, please. Yeah, if this whole thing, let's say this whole thing is an acid trip, no, like that would be the worst ending. Get us all emotionally invested. I mean, because there is character drama that makes you emotionally invested and care about the mystery. You know, all the stuff that Boyd has gone through. Like, I'm invested in that. So I would be very upset if none of this is real.
I wonder if the writers are listening, and maybe the trees are red herrings. That the real mystery is what Victor can put together with the missing pieces and Jasper, and this is just to throw us off a little bit. Like, this, just in a sense, is just an art project.
Please no. I
don't.
Please no. Please no. I can't.
I'm just saying. Could be. Could be.
My little YouTube circle gives me so much crap for putting From on the last couple best of when we do our year-end review. Like Stupenzo and Blue Collar all make fun of me for, they're like, we cannot believe you're into this show. Like, of all people to be into a show.
Oh, I mean, have you not seen the troll in the chat named Copa? So like,
well, they don't troll me per se because they're my friends, but at the same time, they every time I bring this show up, they're just like, look, we're not watching your silly mystery box show. Although they don't use that term the way I do. But
what are you talking about? Blue Collar initially was supposed to be on this, so he's BSing, by the way.
That's right.
Well, in fairness, to clarify, if I recommend a show to Blue, he will watch it. So, but
Blue will find the nicest thing about anything. It'll be crap, nicest thing. And by the way, Copa is a troll, but I know he's here because he loves Zax. Maybe me, but mostly Zax.
Well, that's fair.
Mostly me, for sure.
Helps the algorithm, if nothing else. But
that's true.
It's just I get anxiety when I start thinking about Lost and other shows that are. I also am in love with another mystery box show called Yellow Jackets, and I'm worried about that as well. So
Yellow Jackets,
yeah,
that we'll be covering it on this channel as well, since there's a horror element to it. I was gonna do Teacup, but that kind of fell flat.
I'm not familiar with that one.
It was not at the finale. Okay, we won't talk about Teacup.
Yeah, we'll tell you backstage.
Was that the show you told me to watch, Zax, on Peacock?
Yeah.
It started off good, but it just
the ending is interesting. The ending is interesting. The three middle episodes were just like really bad.
I haven't seen the last two episodes. It is so bad that they just released the last two episodes, Nick, for the season instead of doing their weekly.
Oh, but they were doing two at a time. To be fair, they did 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 at the same. So they did stick to that. But the last episode was good. It was just, I don't want to talk about.
So I can binge it now, basically.
I would. Yeah, you can. Okay. But like, really, you're not missing much in the middle episodes, which is really just a waste.
Well,
Sweet.
The good news is
it's a lot like From. I've heard it's a lot like From, so I've been meaning to check it out. Disappointing to hear that the ending was lackluster. Oh, that sucks.
It is like From, but it's more sci-fi to it. Just FYI.
The ending was fine, but they did this whole mystery in the middle about who's the one who's possessed, basically. And like the audience aren't dumb, so we already knew, like, it was obvious. And for some reason, the characters were acting like they didn't know, even though they also should have known because they were also there. But they still acted like it could be anyone. But no, it can't be anyone. You guys know who it is. And so that was really off-putting because they were fairly smart up until that point. Then all of a sudden, it's like, well, anyone could be the monster, is what we're gonna say. But the finale was actually interesting, not as bad, and does answer a lot of the questions. Asks new ones, of course, because they want a season 2, I suppose. But there was some cringe stuff there in the middle, boy.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Yeah, but honestly, Julie, for somebody like you who does these like super deep dives and stuff, I would be curious to see what you would say about it.
Me
because
too.
there's a lot there. It's just I think it's just they didn't know how to pace it well enough for this season. I don't know if there will be a second season for it.
I would love to talk about it. Well, any of you guys, but yeah, because there's stuff there, and they could have. There's some big mistakes they made that they didn't have to make that really derailed it. Like I'm dealing this show right now, but they
It's okay.
derailed their own story by adding all these characters and in episodes 4, 5, and 6 that like we don't need 15 people for this story. We need maybe 4.
Maybe we'll do a recap stream of it after From
Yeah.
is done, and we'll go into Teacup to kind of hold us over until Yellow Jackets come back or something else. I also want to do Dune at some point, but we'll get there. All right, Anakui. What the fuck does it mean?
I was kind
At
of
least
upset
give
we
us
saw
that.
this.
Go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
No, when the kids showed up, I was expecting something significant to happen, and nothing did. She just had like a panic attack and like fell into a corner and like the stairway, and then like Ethan's like, "Mom, what's happening?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, is Ethan gonna see the kids? Like that'd be cool." He didn't.
It felt redundant to me. Like this felt like a redo of the scene where she was in front of the cave in season 2, and the kids crowded around her. And they, like in this scene, they all came from different directions. Which, yeah, it was really creepy when they did it the first time. But this, it feels like they're just rehashing that. And she even crouched down in the fetal position in the same way she did in that scene too. So they're all crowding around her. It's like, I wish they had come up with something more original than this, to be honest. If they were going to do something with the kids again, they just give us something. I don't think that this gave us anything. It didn't move that plot forward. It didn't give us any hint as to what is going on with these kids. And yeah, so I was frustrated by that.
Yeah,
This would have been the moment to do something like to give us a little bit extra something. Just like maybe they stop and they say something different other than Ankui, right? They say something that clicks with her, or they all point in a general direction, just something that is just a little bit different than what we've seen before. Like Zach just said, like it's a member bear for their own show. Like give us something like else other than what we've seen earlier on before. Like the repetitiveness is just getting old.
Toxic, did you want to give any more to this comment?
I was curious what it meant, and so of course I got on the Google machine and I was looking through stuff, and I found Reddit and Screen Rant posts, and they all seem to agree that it's this. They're trying to say what you see up on the screen right there. That it's derived from the mythological Celtic Ankui, and I keep hearing that these creatures are some sort of fae or Celtic, some sort of demons or monsters or something like that. So that checks out. I've also heard
go ahead.
I've also heard a theory that like the people lived in the town long ago and sacrificed their children, and that's what unleashed all of the powerful from, and then saving the children is the only way to get the people out of the town. So that's why the whole save the kids thing is a thing, but I don't know how much credence you can put into that theory.
They also label these guys as ghoulish, so ghouls in a sense, and ghouls are of a fae descent in mythology.
Yeah.
Too. Also, by the way, anybody else notice that she's on a green screen walking towards her?
Yeah.
Like it's totally like CGI'd. Took me out of the scene completely. Like, what if she touches one of these kids?
Right. Why doesn't she?
Yeah, exactly. You're not real. Just start choking them. I mean, not really, but you know.
Oh man, Julie, if they're in purgatory, we riot.
I really hope that, like, if this is derived from that. Yeah, if this is derived from that term, that's what made me worry. Like, if they're like, if they're all about bringing spirits of the dead to hell, like, what if this is an in between place? What if this is purgatory? I hope not. I really.
Well, you know, in the Buffy and Angel universe, they have these different levels and demon dimensions, and pocket dimensions and stuff like that. I don't really have a big issue with that. I mean, it doesn't have to be the Catholic purgatory or whatever. It could be like they're in a pocket dimension, and that seems to be a little bit more logical. That, you know, it looks like our world, but it's, you know, sometimes they have a world where there's no shrimp. Sometimes they have a world where there's nothing but shrimp. So, you know, I mean,
shrimp? Did you say shrimp?
Yeah, shrimp. Yeah. I stole it from Buffy. It's a Buffy line.
Well, this would be so much more effective if those kids were just like living what would be a parallel normal life, and she could see them occasionally doing stuff like reading a book or playing with a toy, maybe even next to Ethan, like, as opposed to this one scene where they surround her and she shrinks. Like, we've seen that before. Have them added more often. And maybe this is I just came up with this idea myself just now, so all credit goes to me. This could be Norse mythology, and it could be.
He's so humble. He's so humble, folks. He's so humble.
No, that was my idea. It could be Norse mythology, and listen, Nadia, and maybe these are all gods, and they forgot their gods, and Victor is Loki, and he's playing a game with them.
I kind of like that. That's not what I initially think it's going on with the Norse mythology.
That's because it was my idea first, and you stole it.
I think the entity or whatever is going on, it makes sense with the lighthouse aspect too. The lighthouse being on the realm of this world, and because that's kind of symbolisms for lighthouse in a sense. But fuck you, Zax. Anyway. I actually, as much as I would love this to be Norse mythology, I think it's more in the line of a fae kind of deal going on. It's got to be something supernatural. I don't think it's an experiment. I don't think this is them locked into something human-made or human-monitored. This has to be something maybe ancient that's just been here for such a long time that uses humans as like sacrifices every couple of years.
See, I would prefer that to something human made. I really would. I hope
I've also heard the Roanoke theory as well. Like it's some sort of Roanoke type of, really, I don't understand how that translates.
Well, it reminds me of American Gods in a way that part of the storyline for American Gods is that, you know, gods are no longer worshipped, so they are trying to get humans to sacrifice to them, to worship to them, to, in a sense, to give them their powers, right? For them to gain their powers. So to me, could be something in the line set up like that, where, you know, human population, mortal population has taken over the world, right? The supernatural world has gone into hiding, and similar storylines like that. Faes have to go into hiding. So thus they corner themselves a part of the world where if they capture these individuals or have these individuals set, they sacrifice every 10, 15 years to themselves to continue to live on, in a sense.
What if this is like Cabin in the Woods?
Kind of like that, in a sense. Like they set them up so that it feeds into whatever overpowerful entity. Because put your tinfoil hat on, similar to the theory of like our national parks in the United States. The reason why I think it was Reagan that set them up, right, was not to protect the national parks. It was to protect the citizens from whatever is in the national parks. Like similar to that aspect.
Interesting. Yeah, and actually, if it is something like that, it would explain why so many people see all different types of like mythology references in the show. And a lot of people are really into like Norse mythology angle or Greek mythology, or, you know, there are Native American elements in the show, you know, like we see dream catchers everywhere. Like there are so many different, it looks like a melting pot really of so many different you know, cultures and mythologies, and that would explain it if it's something like that. Like that's interesting.
Yeah. I would hope. I don't like the purgatory line. It's been there, done that.
Yeah.
I would like to see something different. And Faye doing anything Faye related or something like that related would help with anything that doesn't make sense, right? You can kind of label it as, oh, it's just like fairy magic in a sense. Like, oh, this is why this is happening. Because if it has something to do with purgatory, I'm out.
Me too. Please,
I've seen enough shit. But apparently this is shot in Canada.
It is shot in Canada. Don't you think that if it was I don't want the wet blanket, but if there was going to be a Fae angle for this, that they'd have been already laying that out, and you'd be like, we're just point like there's no yellow brick road for us to follow towards Faedom.
There is the talismans. The talismans are definitely something of mythology or Fae related. These creatures are definitely of something Fae related. Whether they were human at one point and then turned into these things, there's tons of mythology stories of things like that happening. There are little breadcrumbs that indicate that this could be something of a like Fae supernatural world going on. I think it leans more into that than it being a human experiment.
Yeah, actually, you're right. Like there are elements that, now that I'm thinking of it, Victor just actually said something that is kind of a point in the Fae column. He said they like to take stuff. They like to take people's stuff, because Henry found something of Victor's mother's in the cave. Yeah. Like, what is this? Like, why did they have your mother's?
Fairies
whatever
like to do that. Yep.
Yeah. And we saw that, early on, we saw all this furniture and stuff down in the caves. And when Smiley, when they did the autopsy, Smiley had a wallet and a tooth on him when they found him. And I think that he got them from that old couple that he murdered in the bus. So, there are tidbits here and there. Like, they like to take people's stuff. That's a classic Fae thing. So, yeah, could be.
Yeah. And it could be also a reason why they take people's organs too, as well. Like it's not so black and white where it's like, okay, these are creatures that just kill people. They take things. There's little indications of it. The music box, them being able to transport people from a tree to a lighthouse or a tree into a pool. Like, this could be Fae type of magic happening, or some kind of mythology magic happening. I don't necessarily think it's Norse, but I do kind of lean into that it could be some sort of Fae magic happening. And it would make sense if this takes place in some kind of realm in the United States.
I agree.
Yeah.
I 100% agree. Especially since, like, Smiley, when he got on the bus, he was like playing with the bus like it was like a toy that he'd never seen before. The way he was like messing with the gears and the horn and stuff like that. Remember that when he was just like toying around with the bus controls? Like, he was like, oh, look at this. This is kind of interesting. Oh, wait, there's people to kill here. All right, let me go do that.
And Fae also like to throw puzzles, and they also like to make deals. They also like to do things where they'll make it harder for you to solve things and also take it away. Like, they're mischief. They're kind of like, I don't know what's the best word for it, but they don't. When you promise something to them and stuff, or offer something to them, it's like it's set in stone too. So the trees transporting to the fact that this is a foresty area, it sort of kind of makes sense. The talismans, those statues too.
I think it's like, I know what you're saying. I think that we know that stuff, and I think you know all that stuff because you know a lot of stuff, and you know a lot of stuff outside of the show world, right? So I think if you went and asked most Americans, where did talismans come from? They wouldn't say, oh, obviously it's from fairies, right? So what I'm saying is the show doesn't have that stuff in it for just a viewer to watch and go, oh, okay, these things line up as being from the Fae world. You know that because you're lining them up. That's so, like, the show doesn't seem to be leading us in a direction. They're just putting stuff that we're then putting together because we're all very smart people here.
I don't necessarily,
especially you.
This is a Fae world thing. I think they've taken elements of it and made their own world, their own lore to this show. So whatever this turns out to be, I think we'll just have elements of these things that they have taken and decided to write into this show, saying like, we're going to create this world. They don't necessarily have to say, oh, we're going to create a world about killer fairies, but they're going to take small aspects of like mythology and Fae and stuff and add it to it to make sense in their own lore. Hopefully, right? Hopefully they have a show Bible. We don't know that.
True.
But yeah. But similar to like, I like this. I feel the town is like a terrarium. They're being watched to be mimics. Similar to the movie that came out this year, The Watchers. That's spoiler alert. The Watchers are fey creatures who watch human beings to mimic them so that they can then take over like the mortal race, like take over human world. So it could be something similar to that.
I've heard from many different people that Watch was very similar to this show.
Yeah, I could see that. It's pretty good except until the third act. It's pretty good until the third act.
Glad
So we think these two are going to get it down.
How was the vibe? I think Toxic and I both got. So, I mean.
She is awfully put together for somebody who just went through.
Almost like she healed quickly from her rehab for some reason.
Or she's taken something.
I don't think she's taken something. I think we're going to discover at some point that they heal super fast. If they don't get killed right out, I think the town advances their healing magically in some kind of way.
Well, didn't he say something to her about it? Like, and I want to say he asks how she's doing, but also at some point he has like, if I remember correctly, he makes like this face like he suspects, like he's like, like are you back on it? And she's like, she kind of shuts him down to a degree, like almost like I'm not using again sort of thing. But it, like, for us, it definitely seems like she's on something. It may not be the same, like on morphine again, but maybe she found something else in the magical medicine cabinet, plus maybe some stuff that was on the ambulance that she has access to now, right?
Yep.
But there again, like there's a lot that we haven't seen, and like when we just heard this episode, like, hey, look, we have an ultrasound now. Oh, cool. And it's like, well, what else is in the ambulance that they didn't have before? I know what's her face says that we have access to a lot more medicine, and we have more supplies than we did before. So, but there's not like a list of things. Like she didn't go through like the different types of medicine at that point. So I think she's back on something. I think Randall recognizes it because maybe he's just seen it before, right? I don't know if he's been through it, but there again, there's this weird vibe where they, like I said, he put the bait down, being a little emo boy at some point, and said like, I'll just go back into the bus, and she's like, no, stay in the clinic here with me.
No step bro, you can stay here with us.
What about your girlfriend? Oh, she won't mind. We're fighting anyway.
Did you see her haircut? It's totally cringe. Anyway, I did your scar.
I like your shaved head better.
If they do get renewed for season 4, I hope they change her poor haircut. That poor woman, man. I really like, and honestly, I know we make fun of it on this stream, but anytime I bring it up in the show in a discussion, we're talking about characters, automatically somebody will always say about her fucking haircut. Like, it's just awful. Just awful. You know what? Same haircut on Sophia for Penguin, and it looks good on her. So it's obviously just not a haircut meant for this woman. Like,
not every haircut works on every person.
Yeah, I've had some pixie cuts. I know. It doesn't work on everybody. So
well, touching on that, what you just brought up, I have noticed on TikTok and YouTube Reels that the show, a lot of the comments when someone puts a clip from this show, it's always like, man, I'm so glad the show's getting more attention, because it's just like the more attention it gives, the more chance that it will stay on, the more chance it stays on, the more chance we'll get answers. So, yeah, Christy's haircut's the real entity. That's funny.
Thank you so much for subscribing to everybody on the panel. Everybody's links I will be updating after the show, but thank you so much. We'll be covering from here every Friday, so please tune in. And then Nikki should be back.
Vanessa's awesome. Friday. Vanessa supports so many content creators. Yeah, Vanessa Wicked, thank you for doing that. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
The other really interesting part of this episode was the fact that the entity spoke to Victor after finding Jasper, which I honestly thought Jasper was going to jump. Let me see if I can tune it up where properly, where she'll.
I was waiting for that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it might come alive, but
here we
go. Why was the one creature in like its creature form, but then the lady was still in her like human form?
Good question. I had the same question.
I was like, shouldn't you all be in like creature form, lady, or are you different, or do they choose like, you know what, I'm gonna sleep in the cave, but I'm gonna sleep in humans?
It's true.
Yeah,
what are the rules?
That was weird.
Coming down here.
I don't know.
Stays. We'll make you stay.
That was the best. I loved that line. That was so sinister and creepy.
Yeah, it was a good line.
And I don't think it means he's been coming down there all the time. It could just be a reference to when he was down there with Tabitha, because in the world of the show, it actually hasn't been long at all. I mean, even Clara still has her marks near the eye that look fresh from right around that time when the glass got near her eye. And so I don't think he's been like hanging out there, but I do think that it was kind of a warning to him, because they don't want him investigating stuff. They want him to go back to just, being Victor, blocking everything out, not trying to go out and find answers. And I worry about him, because if he continues investigating, looking for answers, trying to uncover buried memories, I think he could be on the chopping block on this show. Like I think he's been protected all these years because there's just no logical way he could have survived by himself for so long, especially as a child. Some entity was protecting him. And I think personally that it's because as the sole survivor, who's like a man-child, a child in a man's body with all of this trauma, he's just like a walking, talking reminder of what happens when you go out looking for answers, what happened to his mother, and leaving him like this. So it's like this big bad, I think, is protecting him. And because he's always been telling people who go looking for answers don't come back. You shouldn't be asking these questions. Now he's investigating. He's trying to uncover memories. I think this was kind of a little warning to him to stop it. And I hope it's not foreshadowing that they're going to take him out. I think he'll be all right this season, but maybe next season, not so much. Yeah.
That would really suck for Henry. The fact that just,
Yeah. I think he'll be okay this season. I don't think they would get rid of him when they just brought Henry on the show, but next season, I don't know. That could be a different story.
Final season for sure could be. Yeah. It's too bad because he's really grown on me, that performance too. It's very subtle and considering what he's trying to portray, he does a fantastic job.
Oh, amazing. How many people could play a child in a man's body as effectively as him? The mannerisms, everything.
Without it being creepy. Without it being creepy too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or cheesy or cringe or whatever. It's not. It's just great.
I'll give it to Henry too. He's adapting to From pretty fast. He's like, all this crazy shit, sure. Why not? Let me just believe it. We need to go now.
Yes.
Except for he just is like, this is the toy, Victor. Like it's just a mannequin. Like this isn't real. It's like Jasper will tell us the answer. He'll tell us the story again. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I might be with your old man here. Like I was expecting and hoping he would come alive here at this point, but he didn't. So maybe it's just a time thing. Maybe it's night. Maybe it's a full moon. I don't know, but I don't know what we're really expecting to gain from a toy mannequin.
Nightmares, because that's what I will have when this is talking.
It just looks like this. Hi, Victor. It's like,
yeah. Oh no. Oh, my God. I just got chills.
I was hoping for that. I was like, yes, we're getting somewhere now, baby. But no.
I bet he talks next episode. Either midway or he's the cliffhanger for the episode.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to just suddenly start giving them answers, because whatever entity is controlling this thing or inhabiting this dummy, it won't want Victor to have answers. So the most that I think it'll do is something my friend and co-host who's been in the comments, Wild Marjoram, she said, he'll probably just say something sinister, like, you're asking too many questions, Victor, or something creepy. He'll probably talk, but he's not going to give them answers. Yeah.
Throw that dummy then out the fucking window. All this effort to get the thing,
burn it,
throw it out the window.
Burn it.
Yep.
I love it, though. I love haunted dummy tropes.
Nope. Dolls, me, no. I'm terrified. That's, to me, Jasper's the scariest thing in this season. I do not like dolls.
I hear a lot of people say that, and it's funny, like diehard fans of this show that don't mind all the gore and whatnot, but they find the dummy creepiest thing.
Yeah, because dolls are creepy, man. That's why in Buffy they had the puppet show episode, and that was the subversion of expectation that the puppet was actually a good guy, a demon hunter.
R.L. Stein, my guy. R.L. Stein.
R.L. Stein.
Or Puppet Master, Child's Play, Valley of the Dolls. There's like all this stuff. I remember, man.
Oh, I love it.
My mom tried
Real life
to
Cabbage Patch Kids. Those are still creepy.
My mom tried to give me a 3-foot like porcelain bride doll that she got from an auction that she put a rosary around because she goes, just in case. I'm like, what do you mean, just in case?
Just in case, but she gave it to you as a gift.
Yeah.
Not those.
As soon as my sister got engaged, I fucking gave that to her. I was like, look, let's pass this along.
You got the rosary or with the rosary?
She got the doll, and then she bought the rosary separately and put it on the doll. Because when I got engaged, that was like her gift to me. And she's like, just in case. I know you don't. Her opening line was like, I know you don't like dolls, but I had to get this for you. This thing lived in my closet with like boxes on top of it, just in case if it ever tried to like push the top box open, it was too heavy for it to like. And then as soon as my sister got engaged, I was like, here you go.
That's fantastic. And
I don't know what's funnier, the fact that your mom gave you a possibly evil doll, or the fact that you kept it, was afraid of it, and then gave it to your sister.
Yeah.
That's great. Oh my god. And you're a diehard horror fan. Like that's
I am.
That's so funny.
I am. I don't do dolls.
It's just the dolls that are the scary thing. That's so funny. To me, that's one of my favorite horror tropes. I love it. I prefer that over, gore, like that. If I had to kind of learn to tolerate the gore in this show, but I love haunted dolls. I don't know. It's just me.
Dolls and religious horror are my two top horrors that like terrify me. I can handle anything else after that. Can handle like zombies, gore, like serial killers, whatever. But if it's like religious horror, deals with like demons, entities like that, or it's dolls, I'm out.
Yeah.
like I can't do it. I liked One True Whitney said here, can we take a moment to appreciate that if this town likes you, it sucks things in that make you happy and you need. Victor got an entire truck of peaches. Fatima got an ultrasound and prenatal nurse.
Oh, yep. Good point.
That's a good point.
Victor's dad also.
Yeah, Victor's dad. Marielle, you would count that as well for Kristen as well. Yeah.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Wow.
And Boyd gets nothing but pain.
I was say, so by the people that don't get anything, right? Like,
It hates Kenny. This place hates Kenny.
True.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Now, does it like Jim? Because technically he did get his wife back, but they fight and they argue. So
is that a plus or a negative?
Yeah,
I think the town loves Jim because he's freaking useless. He doesn't do anything.
What pisses me off about Jim is that it's the writers. Season 2, we get the whole your wife shouldn't be digging. Where the fuck did that go? Nowhere. Caroline's nowhere.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah. We get Thomas calling a couple of times. Where does that go? Nowhere. Like,
and it was the same kind of thing. Your kids shouldn't be playing outside so close to dark, and he went out there. There was nothing going on. Yeah.
Like either it's screwing with them, or it's just these writers are just like, hey, we're gonna put this really cool line in. We should use it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But Fatima finds out she's not pregnant, even though she is pregnant, or is she not pregnant? Dun dun dun.
Mm. Yep.
Like how she asks her, like, check again. Like, I did. I'm certified in this industry here. Like, I know what I'm looking for. And she points like, well, it should be right here, but it's not. So, and she's like, we can look again together. Like, she wasn't convinced.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even if you're in your first trimester, don't you gain weight? I know you throw up a lot and stuff, and I know sometimes you have aversion to food. I've never been pregnant, but from the people that I've known, you still gain a little bit of weight, though. She's done the opposite. She's completely just gotten thinner. You could see it in her face too as well. So my money is that she's becoming a nightmare creature.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That's for sure what's happening.
What do you think, Julie?
I think that, I mean, I will say this threw me a bit, seeing nothing at all. But maybe they figured, okay, we're not going to go with like a cliched horror trope and show something like disturbing, some creepy thing on the ultrasound. We've all seen that before. So I'm still going with the theory that maybe there's something inhabiting her. There's some kind of entity using her as a vessel that is draining the life out of her, that's going to be unleashed on them at some point, that caused her to drink blood, because we've never seen the monsters actually consume any part of the people. I mean, they might be, but we're not seeing it. So I don't know. It could go either way, though. It could go either way. I'm open to either, but I'm not giving up on the whole entity using her as a vessel thing yet.
Okay.
Anybody notice how Boyd is looking at her like she's a potential threat already?
Yeah. Boyd's just like processing things and looking at like, wait a second, what?
She is a threat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Boyd, I don't know if you guys watch episode trailers, but I saw the trailer for the next episode. He's being very unreasonable, honestly. It's like there's only so much that Christy and Marielle can do, and he's just like, like, do something. He's just like yelling at them. It's like, come on. What do you expect? I understand that he thinks this is his grandchild. It's not. Either way, if there's something in it, it's not his grandchild, and there's something clearly wrong. There's only so much they can do. And this is just another way to try to break Boyd, I think, too, because obviously he's going to care very much about this, and he thought he had a grandchild on the way.
It just sounds very like one-dimensional writing. Like you'd think after everything that Boyd's seen and witnessed and been through 3 seasons now, that he would have, a spider web of thoughts going off of what it could potentially be happening here. Not just like do something because, Fatima is supposed to be pregnant and she's not. Like, you're a nurse. You do something, make her pregnant. It's like, it doesn't, come on, Boyd. It doesn't work that way, bud. Like,
exactly.
I don't like that type of writing. I think it's too one-dimensional, and and Boyd's not that type of character either, though. He's not supposed to be. And
no.
So
yeah.
Well, I guess we'll see in 2 days, right?
He literally yells, "We'll figure it out." Yeah, in the trailer, we'll figure it out, because Christy's like, I don't know what to do. Come on, but that's not a character for Boyd.
Yeah.
If Fatima is truly not pregnant and these things are messing with her, because remember, Ellis and Fatima told him exactly what's going on with her. This is just another thing to break him. Like, to see his son suffer through this, or see that now his son's wife is potentially, there's something weird going on. So it's just another way to break him.
Well, let's say she's not pregnant, right? And it was all just, imaginary. What was the purpose of her eating rotten, plants and everything like that? Rotten food.
Because she's turning into a nightmare creature. And then eventually blood or organs or whatever you want to think it is that she was going into Nikki.
But how did she turn into a nightmare creature? Because of Tilly, used some tarot cards on her?
I don't know. That's why I think she is becoming one, because this is the way we see a process of it to answer what these things are. I really honestly think Fatima is becoming one, and this is the writer's way of giving us an answer of how these things come to be. That each cycle, a couple of them turn into these things, and they stay around.
So Ellis is shooting bad bullets, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, do you want to raise a child in From, though? No offense, but like,
no, absolutely not.
What if her water breaks in the middle of the night and she can't be raced to Christy? Like, what happens then?
Right. And Donna was irrationally happy about it when Fatima told her about it. She said, "Oh, it's a miracle. A miracle is just the other side of a nightmare." It sounded so cheesy. And it's like, it's not really a miracle or wonderful to be raising a baby in this place. You're right. It's not. And Nadia, like, as far as how this could have started, I think that it's possible that maybe there was something wrong with the blood that Boyd gave to Ellis. Maybe. Like, that's the only thing I could think of.
Oh,
Like, we know he doesn't have worms under his skin anymore, but we don't know how any of this works. They just assumed that the blood was fine. They just assumed, but we don't know. And they don't know how all this works. They thought that they beat the cicada entity completely. And yes, they woke up from their coma-like states, the three of them, but they still have after effects. So maybe there was something wrong with Boyd's blood. So that's the only thing I can start of this.
Yeah. And then here's our other mole, Clara. I really think, man. And then the big reveal, which is the cliffhanger of this episode, is that Tabitha knows about this place. Like, to me, the dialogue doesn't indicate that the young girl was Tabitha. It just indicates that she's had these dreams.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily... It could go both ways, where the young girl was dressed very oddly. Could go both ways, where she is that girl, or she just had dreams of this girl being there. What do you guys think?
I don't think it was her. I think it was dreams, visions, some sort of premonition that she had at an earlier age that she would eventually go there, but she never actually believed it. And obviously, like, it's hard to believe those types of things when you're a kid, because you're a kid, you don't know what they mean. You could just, it's a bad dream or whatever, right? Like, there was some red stones, and there was a spooky monster or a creature that tried to get you, and then you woke up and that's all you remember. But I get, like, it could be a little bit misleading because they show her hair's similar color, right? I don't know, I guess she kind of looks like her as a young kid, but I could see it going both ways. I won't be mad if it's either one, but my instinct was that it's not her. That was like my gut first reaction was, it's not her.
Yeah, that's my gut.
She just shared something.
Because it doesn't. I know there's a theory that people think, oh, she's.
I thought it was her.
Tabitha's Victor's younger sister, but that doesn't make sense. There's so many holes in that theory. Like, you're telling me Henry wouldn't even notice that, and then why does she have an accent?
Yeah, it's her
and
accent.
Then she calls
too,
her mom. Yeah,
that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
I thought it was her, but listening to what you guys have said, I think you're probably right. But I just assumed the way that was shot and that it was her memory. But yeah, it's
and also
a vision.
Her costume doesn't necessarily mean she's from an old time.
True.
These people could have been on the way to, like, this kid's play or trick-or-treating or something and saw a tree in the road. So I wouldn't focus too much on what this kid is wearing necessarily. But yeah, I don't think this is Tabitha at all. I think
is that Norse or Celtic clothing by chance?
It gives almost like a little Red Riding Hood kind of look to it.
Yeah, right.
It does.
It does.
I want more information on these guys. That's what I want.
That was pretty cool. I mean, it's a little creepy, but I'm like, oh man, that looks weird.
What if the little girl was who they heard outside the cabins? Because there's a theory that there might be somebody out there on their own. I just want 8-foot spiders, man. Like, that's another plot hole. What the fuck is going on with the spider webs?
Right?
Yeah.
What spider webs?
They forgot about them.
Yeah.
It's not in a budget for a big spider. That's what it is.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, it would probably look as bad as the spider in the It miniseries from like 1990. It's probably don't have the budget. I love these totems too. I think all the totems are so interesting and creepy. I enjoy that. As far as who she is, who the little girl is, when I first watched it, on first glance, like a lot of people, I thought, okay, it's young Tabitha. It looks like it could be her. And then I looked at her clothing and I thought about it more. And she's wearing not only some kind of a cape, but in one shot, it's not that easy to see, but in one shot, there is an apron. She's wearing an apron too. Like this looks like something possibly from even Puritan times, like that Puritan guy drinking from the skull that Jade saw in a vision. So I think she's seeing a vision, as she was seeing a vision of, in my opinion, I'm now into this whole theory that she's been reincarnated. I think it could have been one of her past lives. If not that, then at least one of the past chosen ones. Like Miranda saw all of these chosen ones who came before her in her role. Right. I think maybe she was seeing a vision of another chosen one as a child. And I think it was her in a past life. I know it sounds tinfoily, but I just think reincarnation would explain a whole lot if that were the case. So, yeah.
It's very Buffy level thinking, too, the past chosen one. I like that.
Yeah.
As long as it's not purgatory.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's a soft reboot of Buffy. Maybe that's what this is all along. I would take it.
That is the episode, guys. What a filler, but kind of not a filler, but kind of a filler episode. Final thoughts on it. Zax, where do you think it's going?
I don't know, but I'm here for it. I'm gonna finish this ride and hope it takes me where I want to go. That last, just about the last totem, I collect masks from wherever I travel to, and a buddy of mine also, he does the same thing, and he lived in Ghana, Kenya. And so one of his, like some of his African masks look a lot like the totems. I know it's a common look for a mask, but it doesn't look like any of mine. It looks like two of his. That one totem it probably means nothing. It's probably a prop guy's like souvenir, but it does look like that. And otherwise, thanks for having me on. Great discussion, learning from you guys, and I love talking about this show, even if I don't always like all of it. It gets your mind working, and hopefully they're working on the story as hard as we are.
They should just hire Saul. Every content creator should just be in the writer's room.
One more thing. Julie, I've been listening to your stuff, and you're awesome. And someone was talking about your voice and commenting about your voice. Fuck them, Julie.
Somebody commented.
What? Don't listen to that shit. Do not listen to that shit. Don't. Your stuff is wonderful.
Yes, sometimes I just listen to your replays while I'm at work, just sitting there. So don't. Fuck them.
I took you trick-or-treating with me in my earbud. So
yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for listening. And yeah, I had some kind of, unpleasant comments, just, saying I can only tolerate listening to 2 minutes and 38 seconds of your video because your voice sounds so dry and I can't stand listening to it. I'm like, drink some water. I really do like your videos, but drink some water when you do this. I'm like, really?
What a dick. Ban. Tell him, be like, thank you for subbing, but you can unsub now. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't need that kind of subscriber. Like I can afford to lose that one.
Yeah. Nick, what about you, man? Final thoughts?
Yeah, it was an okay episode. I mean, we obviously got some things, some filler here and there. Could have had a lot better writing in some stances, but like Zach said, the strand's already moving along and we've got 4 episodes left. So I want to be hopeful that in these last 4 episodes, we're going to get some answers, whether they're truly significant or not, remains to be seen. But I think, the 2 things at the end, or maybe technically 3 things we saw at the end between, Fatima's baby not being there, the kimono lady showing up in the picture, and then behind Elgin saying that I can help you guys get out of here or whatever it was. And then, with Tabitha's dream sequence and then like the numbers from Jade, like I think the trailer is starting to pick up a bit. I would have liked to have seen it pick up more in this episode, but I understand that you need to kind of make things last in a 10 episode season. So understandable, but in some cases, I think this might have been one of the weaker episodes of season 3 so far. But it is very enjoyable to talk with everyone here on the panel. I think everyone's got great insights, and obviously people in the chat too who've been following along and have said some really creative things, and obviously hashing out the theories that we all have, whether we believe that certain theories might be better suited to actually come into fruition or not. It's just been a super fun time, and I'm just glad to be here for it.
Right on. Julie.
I liked this episode. I mean, I was a little worried at first, when it started out with that argument with Jim and Tabitha. I was like, oh, this isn't good. I already am not liking this. This is going to be filler. I don't think it was completely filler. Thankfully, they did throw in some stuff that really intrigued me. I very much enjoyed all of the stuff with Jade, as always. His theorizing about what could be going on here with the portal Tabitha went through, or whatever it is. I loved that. I loved his vision with Tom. That was a great scene. And trying to figure out the bottles. What did the bottles mean? Working with Ethan on that. Loved all of that. I thought that was progressing the plot, because I don't think that's a red herring. I hope. And then, obviously, like the memorable scenes, Tabitha's dream at the end. I thought that was fascinating. Good. Like, we got some good stuff for theory crafting in this episode. Like, they threw us some good scenes for that. There was that. There was the scene with Elgin and the ghoul. I think that's going to be another situation where it's manipulating him into doing something that's actually going to cause harm inadvertently, kind of like Sarah. Sarah was manipulated. I don't think it's going to be as bad as that, but something's going to come of that that's not good. She's promising to bring them all home. It was super creepy, which I enjoyed. And obviously, like, the scene in the cave, that was a highlight. Anything with Jasper, I'm obsessed with. Haunted Dummies. So yeah, I enjoyed the episode. I think it was it was not it wasn't the best of the season, but I'm looking forward to seeing where it's going to go from here, setting up the next episode.
Right on. Last, but obviously not very least, Lord Toxicity. I need to drink water. That's what I'm gonna get comments for. What's your final thoughts on the episode?
I mean, it's definitely I don't really use the word filler, although that can certainly apply. I would say it's more like a bottle episode. See what I did there? But it's always, I think I said something similar on our other stream. It's always difficult when you have the latter half of a show. This is one of those episodes that's before the season finale and before the penultimate season finale. So it's trying to project the plot forward. But again, yeah, I mean, obviously I've griped enough about the tedious argument that happened between Jim and his wife, but at the same time, we did get a little bit more character development. I'm not unhappy with that, but with this show, it's fine to come up with new questions, but I need some answers to the old questions, and I don't feel like we've, forget a bunch of cookies, man. We're barely getting cookie dust as far as like stuff getting fixed. We just get more and more questions as we go along, and I'm getting more and more anxious with not having them answered. I don't want, I'm old enough to have watched Twin Peaks back in the day, and that was just, waiting 25 years to have stuff answered is not how I want to live my life. So I really need them to start wrapping some stuff up. You can come up with new plots and new threads, but I need to know answers to some of this stuff now here really soon.
They could, obviously I don't want this thing to be canceled before they conclude this story, but they honestly could continue it in a comic form too. It would actually make an interesting comic book that they've done with like Penny Dreadful was another series I loved. They canceled that. They continued it in comics. So they could do that with this. I'm pretty much on the same page with everybody. I didn't love this episode, but I didn't hate it. We're past midway through the season, so I'm hoping the next 4 episodes will really ramp up and give us some answers. and hopefully have everybody tune back in so that they can be renewed for season 4, because I don't think it's been announced yet that they've been renewed. Hopefully they will. I really think the push for marketing this season is because they want to at least get 2 more seasons out of it. So that being said, Zax, what do you got going on this week or coming week?
Circle of Jerks tomorrow night, 10 o'clock Central Time on my channel. It's gonna be a mixed panel tonight. We're gonna look another Clam Jam in 2 weeks, maybe, hopefully, Nadia. But tomorrow night's gonna be more of a standard Circle of Jerks, and then planning a show for Wednesday. People are Wednesday, 9 o'clock Central, talking about. People keep saying you got to take some time off, take a night off. So we are going to have a night off, and it's going to be a collection of some of the best, our favorite nights from stories. And we're going to have them one-on-one and have the chat vote on who wins and who loses. So that's my plan, night off. I own that. Copyright me.
Nick, what about you? What do you got going on?
Nothing this weekend. I have some stuff to edit and thumbnails to create, so I need to get snappity on that. But then Monday, looking forward to the penultimate episode with you and our panel for Penguin. That'll be hyped. I'm really looking forward to that too. So that's basically it over the weekend.
Okay. Julie.
So I'm finally putting the finishing touches on the theory video for From that I'm going to put out tonight. And then I'm going to get to work, get out my weekly kind of episode analysis video, which I'm hoping I can get out by tomorrow night. And then, I'm doing a watch party for From in my Discord, which the link to which is in my channel description. And I do that every Saturday when the episode drops at midnight. And then next week, it's the usual live streams Wednesday and Thursday nights at 10:30 p.m. Eastern.
Right on. And you're welcome to come back Friday. You know that. I will always send you a link if you can make it. You're more than welcome to join us every Friday.
Thank you. I would love to. It's a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me. I really love talking with you guys.
Aw.
Same.
Big heart eyes. Lord, what's going on with you?
Yeah, got a bunch of stuff going on. Just did a Halloween best earlier this week with Northern English Bastard. Tonight we'll be going and doing another couple episodes of Highlander, the TV series. We're on season 4 now, and Sunday's my big streaming day, where early in the afternoon I'll be on the Outcast Creative to talk about The Shield. We're doing the season finale of season 1, and then later on I'll be doing another Consider the Source, talking about my last Stephen King novel versus the movie, or what I would hope to be the movie, Joyland. And then that evening, obviously, depending on scheduling, I'll be on Tales from the Dork Side on Stupento's channel. So,
right on. As for myself, in about an hour and 20-ish minutes, I'm going to drop the link in the chat right now. I will be in the Badger's Den over on Angry Badger's show channel. Cool. So I will be over there talking with the boys. They broke their rule of no girls allowed. So I must be special.
As they should. As they should.
And then I have 2 reviews coming soon. One will be on Heretic, because I'm going to go see that next week. But I'm also working on a deep dive of the Hellboy Crooked Man, because I love that comic so much, and I bought the movie for some reason. So I'm going to do a deep dive review on it. So that is in the works. Monday, you can find me over on the Inside All Day channel, which is my pop culture channel, where I'll be continuing the coverage with Penguin. Zax, Nick, and Lord are both on that panel. So that should be a good time as well. I'm excited to see where that cliffhanger ended up as well. I will have a poll soon to decide what stream next after From is done. A couple options. We could do Teacup. We could do American Horror Stories. There's a couple of things. So I'm going to put that in the community tab this week to see what everybody's feeling for. So On that note, thank you everybody for joining us today. Please tune back next Friday, same time, same place, for another discussion on From. And until then, stay spooky, y'all.